Okay, it's rap pack to my pulse flat. We keep it real, no false rap. I got 4 cars and they all black. Got 4 bras and they all that. We call that ballin'. Doing this is my calling. Flow is so appalling. My phone off and she calling. I'm like, yeah.
What's going on, Internet, and welcome back to Nth-Level Entertainment, the most awesome series, comic book, and movie-related YouTube channel in South Africa. I'm your host, Z the Entertainer, and welcome back. Today, we're going to be reviewing The Flash, Episode 10, Season 4, The Trial of the Flash. After 5 long weeks, the CW DC Comics TV shows are finally back to bring us some awesome comic book flavored goodness onto our screens. So this particular episode is actually based on a comic book storyline called The Trial of the Flash, which was slightly different from what happens in this episode. In that comic book storyline, it was based on Barry Allen actually fighting the Reverse Flash, Eobard Thawne, who was actually going to kill Barry's fiance in that particular storyline. So this one is a little bit different because, as we all know, in this season, Barry is fighting the Thinker, who is the main villain for the arc, who created the 12 metahumans that were born when Barry actually came back from the Speed Force in the first episode. So in this story, the episode starts a bit differently. The opening monologue is "My name is Barry Allen," but he doesn't say "I'm the fastest man alive." He says "I'm an innocent man," which immediately puts us into the theme of this is going to be a court case hearing story where the Flash is actually defending himself and trying to prove his innocence. So the episode was very interesting. It started off with that monologue, and it started off with scenes of Barry actually um, basically consulting with Cecile and Joe. Cecile being a district attorney, basically a lawyer, and Joe being a cop to see what his chances are. All the evidence is actually stacked up and pointing against him. As we know, the Thinker is very thorough, very intelligent man. He basically plays chess throughout his life, so to speak. He knows the eventuality of every outcome. As he stated in the previous episodes, he knows the answer to every question that has ever been asked. So he was obviously well prepared for this particular scenario. So we then move into the actual trial where they show Barry on trial and being cross-questioned by, well, actually, no, he didn't actually take the stand because he was worried that whatever they ask him, he's going to have to actually lie and plagiarize himself because he is a superhero. And that's the ugly side of what it is to be a superhero and have a secret identity that has to be protected. So, as the trial moves on, we are then introduced to the metahuman for this episode, who is actually an innocent guy that happens to have the power to radioactively poison people around him when he comes close to them. We see him actually go into a bank and open up a savings account, and the clerk that actually assists him dies right afterwards. We then see Team Flash huddled around and actually trying to figure out how they can fight the metahuman threat without needing Barry, as he was stuck in court the whole day. So we do see some scenes of Barry in Star Labs, however, wearing an ankle monitor that's supposed to report him either being at home or the courthouse. But of course, having Cisco on the team, he hacked that ankle monitor to reflect as though he is in those places, even though he was at Star Labs, trying to devise a plan with the team. And as we move forward in the story, we see Joe and Ralph actually trying to devise a plan to get evidence against Marleys, Clifford DeVoe's wife, to basically thwart the case and prove Barry's innocence. So as they investigate, they actually find Marleys making out with Clifford, but in Dominic's body, the metahuman who we met in last episode, who had the ability to read minds, and then DeVoe actually transferred his consciousness into his. So the two, thinking that they actually have the evidence to now put Marleys away, presented in court, only for her to spin a story that obviously was well prepared with her husband beforehand, saying that Clifford actually consented to this relationship, knowing that there are certain needs that he could no longer fulfill for his loving wife. So that was then thrown out of court. Joe gets darker and more desperate and actually tries to plant evidence now against Marleys in order to frame her. In this moment, we actually see a lot of character evolution and development from Ralph, in that he actually gave Joe a talking to, letting him know that this is the wrong direction to go. You'll actually end up knowing years later, after this has failed and it has depressed you, that you did the wrong thing. And he actually opens the door for Joe and leaves him there. Joe is then left to make the moral decision himself, not to actually follow through with the heinous plan. So as the case goes on, we eventually find out that the evidence stacked against Barry is actually insurmountable, and Cecile then advises Barry to actually admit that he is the Flash, so that everybody can then understand why he has to live such a double life, as all the evidence in that court hearing was would suggest. Because people were cross-questioning Captain Singh about the fact that he's been absent 72 times, he's always late, he took a 6-month sabbatical to some island without a credible story, which actually made Captain Singh himself look irresponsible as a manager to Barry. So Barry obviously said no to this because if the city knew that he would be the Flash, all of the villains would know how to hurt him with regards to the people that they know are close to him, now that they know his secret identity. So as the episode actually ends, Barry is then actually forced to get involved in helping with the metahuman who was actually killing people with radioactive poisoning just before he was about to be sentenced. After he actually defeats the metahuman, he goes back to the courthouse and is sentenced to imprisonment in Iron Heights. I'm not sure exactly what the how long the sentence was that he got, but the ending sequence basically shows the judge going through the reasons why he's being sentenced and the sentencing itself, while simultaneously Captain Singh is singing the praises of the Flash. Captain Singh singing the praises. I promise I didn't do that on purpose. While Captain Singh sings the praises of the Flash and his recent heroic effort and awards him some sort of an I think it was like it wasn't a key to the city, but it was some sort of like honorary police heroes award or something like that for the fact that he actually flew headfirst into danger, into the radioactive zone, while trying to save all the other police officers that were responding to the scene, and obviously then unveils the actual award that he was giving to him. While on the other side, the judge delivers the sentence that sentences Barry back to Iron Heights prison. And then in sort of a post-credit scene, we actually then see Barry being escorted into his cell by the creepy warden that we saw in the previous season, in the previous episode, and tells him, get comfortable. And we realize that the cell he's being escorted to is the exact same one that his father actually spent his sentence in. Because we see in an inscription, well, engraving on a wall that says, Henry Allen was here. So I don't know if it was a touching end to the episode because it kind of made things come full circle in a way, or sins of the father, how whatever metaphor you want to attach to it. It had some sort of poetic justice to it. But we don't know now how in the next episode Barry's actually going to get out of this. And that's actually how the episode ends. Now, this is a pretty cool episode. We saw some interesting things happen. We saw Ralph's growth, which was, I think, the biggest change or the most amazing thing about this episode, actually, because I was actually worried about how his character was being portrayed in the episodes leading up to this. He was very much a douchebag, he was annoying, he was always inappropriate, he was always rubbing people up the wrong way. But now we actually realize that he does care more than just for himself. We realize that the prickly facade that he puts on is just a deflection for all the pain he really feels based on the life decisions that he made earlier that then caused his life to go the direction that it's going now. So, and we also saw Caitlin Snow turn into Killer Frost one more time in an effort to stop the radioactive metahuman that was killing everybody. But ultimately, her efforts were in vain because he was able to melt the ice away almost as soon as it was laid on him and took Killer Frost out with a radioactive blow. So, I wouldn't say it was like the strongest of the Flash episodes, but it certainly was a touching one as far as story goes and the dilemma that they were facing. And it actually showed how formidable a villain the Thinker is to the Flash, even though he's not a speedster like the Flash himself, even though he doesn't have any outward metahuman powers like super strength, flight, speed, or whatever. I just described Superman, I know. Um, but the power of his intellect and what circumstances he can actually influence based on that and strategic thinking and just being one step ahead. So as far as predictions go, I'm not sure exactly how Barry's going to get out of this one. I mean, unless he probably will still be able to help Team Flash in terms of metahumans that rise up and threaten the city. I mean, he can vibe through walls and all that stuff. But obviously, he's not going to outwardly escape and stay out of prison. So, however they actually get him out of this would have to be something that's within the law or somehow proving his innocence. But in any case, to wrap up, I would give this particular episode 3 lightning bolts out of 5. Not because I thought it was a bad episode or it was weak or whatever. It's just that it was more story focused, and because of that, was less entertaining than the more action packed episodes that we're used to seeing. But it was a very strong episode nonetheless, and a good pickup point for a DC show that has just been on hiatus. It was a nice way to actually get us back into the scheme of things and to realize just what kind of a villain we're dealing with this season. So that's it for me for this review of the episode. If you've seen it, let me know in the comment section what you thought of it. If you enjoyed this video, please click on the thumbs up icon and give us a like. And if you'd like to see more from Nth-Level Entertainment, please click subscribe and make sure you click the bell icon to make sure that you are notified every time there's new content on the channel. Otherwise, I've been Z the Entertainer, and thanks for watching. As usual, people, stay awesome, take care of each other, to infinity and beyond.
Turn these zeros into tens and commas. Bitch, I'm ballin', closing $1,000,000 deals. Catch me swerving, burning $100 bills. How I feel when you ballin', going places they never go. It ain't all about the money, but I still.
Hey guys, thanks a lot. If you want to see some more from us, click here or click here.